Hello, everyone. I'm Rhino Clavin, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. In this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the best and worst of Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party 2018. And to join me for this discussion are Mr. Charles Boda.
Hello.
Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
Mr. Craig Williams.
Hello. Sorry,
Unaware.
like you were gonna keep saying
I know.
something.
Well, I'm not quick on the uptake like that. Clearly.
Didn't know if you were gonna say in the back, in the nook.
Well, I feel
on
like
the,
I
like
feel
didn't
like
know.
I'm tired of always saying in the back and on the nook. I feel like it demeans it. Your contribution to this conversation is just as important as the people at the table, if not more so.
More so. Don't
More
tell
so?
the people on YouTube that because they believe I need to keep my mouth shut on this show. So.
Well, yeah, whatever. Anyway, so Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. This is a mouthful. It has started as of August, what was it, 16th? 17th, and it is running until November 1st this year?
I think it's
October
Halloween.
31st is the last one?
Yes.
Okay. So October 31st, but you guys all got to go. I was on vacation that week. We're double checking that date as well as we do this episode because I do not want to be corrected later because I don't care, but I know you do. It's just some years it goes on past it. Universal is doing their thing past Halloween, so I don't know. Regardless, I'm all for the Halloween season going as long as humanly possible. It is till the 31st this year? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to attend this year's event. The Halloween party has been my favorite event. Last year, the Christmas party almost edged it out. It was right on the line there. I'm not sure if I'll be attending the Halloween party this year or not. If my mother comes down before Halloween, the answer is yes, I will, because I want her to see it. But I am curious, this was your first experience, right, Charles?
It was.
Don't tell me anything about it. You have a very lengthy article that I started to read.
Almost seems like a criticism.
No, he's very thorough. It was a very thorough review of the event, and so right before we started recording this, I heard some surprising information that I did not get to in the article. So if you want to check that out, check out that article on www.info.com. And but what we're going to do for this episode is the three of these gentlemen who went are going to pick one of what they believe is their favorite thing or the best thing about the party and what they thought was the worst thing about the party. So why don't we start with you, Craig? Tell me what with your... Because I know in years of late, the Halloween party has started to feel a little repetitive for you, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. It's felt repetitive, and I believe we just talked about this on yesterday's Walt Disney World Edition show. I am at the point now, the Halloween party holds zero appeal for me. Mm-hmm. There is more that I dislike about it than I actually enjoy, and I'm not saying that in a curmudgeon-y way.
Good word.
A couple years back, after, I guess it was only 2 years now at this point, I said after Happily Ever After started that it was going to just date Happy Hallowishes in the worst way. Yeah. And I stand by that wholeheartedly. It is so underwhelming watching Happy Hallowishes. I liked the Hocus Pocus show the first year that it came out, but I don't care for it anymore. I think it's because and I don't want to say this in a mean way, I don't like the audience who's watching it. I feel like 90% of the audience right up in the castle where the best part is to watch it right up close is entertainment cast members who tried out for the show at one point in time and didn't get in on it, but they still are like, oh, Hocus Pocus gives me life. Nothing.
It's like when we saw Happily Ever After, and we had those people who were like, "I'm shook," who were just yes.
And I'm sorry if I'm offending people in that way, but I hate that idea. Like, oh, this movie defines me, so I'm gonna have to make a big deal about it. Where were you 10 years ago before when it was showing one time, maybe twice during the Halloween season before it was on every day on Freeform? Yeah, where were you then appreciating it so much? Now you've bought into the hype train, and that's great and all, but don't. It just annoys me. Don't hold your phone up in front of my face the entire time watching it because it's now all of a sudden became a big deal to you over the past little bit. And it's branching off into a bigger thing about
It's
fandom.
okay.
Craig is
but-
a hocus pocus hipster.
Yeah.
not in that way. I just a lot of stuff about this party is getting to me. Like, it used to be a great time to meet characters. Can't do that anymore because they're all hour-long waits. So there's
Yeah.
just more and more. It's becoming that there's less stuff to like about this party than there is to truly enjoy. One thing that I did really, really enjoy, though, I loved the overlay on the Mad Tea Party with the brand new lighting and music to it.
Oh, really?
It is something that is so simple. Just having fun, extra lighting go off instead of your boring standard, like the lanterns are all lit and it's just nice and bright in there. But the lights are constantly changing and flickering, not to the point where if you deal with epilepsy, like that you should be worried about it. It's not that. It's not like
Extreme.
strobe lights are going off, but it's just subtle enough. And then the music, I don't know. I like when techno music makes its way into like Disney parks with
Question.
things like Paint the Night. 1 second, where it gets in there, it adds an extra energy to it.
Yeah.
And so it's something like I really enjoyed it. I wish I could have wrote it more than once the night that I was there for it, because I really, really did have fun on it. It almost to the point that I don't understand why they just don't do it every single night.
Well, like an improvement to with minimal effort, they made a fun improvement.
They
to it,
made
yeah.
an attraction that is always a walk on, especially at night. Not during the day so much. You can get a 10, 15, 20-minute wait. But at night, when the crowds start to loosen up a little bit, you can walk on this thing. And most of the time, it's half filled. With a little bit of a change in lighting, all of a sudden you make it more exciting. You make more people want to ride it at night because of the energy that it has. Keep it going for a little while longer. So I thought it was a great change for the party. I wish it would keep going throughout the beyond just the party and just in general.
Now, is that something that is going to show up is in one of your videos that you did for the party? Can you see
Rhino,
that?
it's all been released at this point.
No, I know, but I haven't watched the video. So I'm just asking for people who are watching this that might not have watched that because it's on a different channel.
Yeah, it's all out there. YouTube.com/WDWinfo. The only thing we don't have is one video that Steve's going to talk about for obvious reasons when we get there.
Okay. So did you just give us both your best and worst? Or do you have a specific
I have a
thing?
specific worst.
Okay, then we'll come
but-
back to you for the worst one. So I am on that note about I just want to chime in because I didn't go to this year's event, but what really got me down last year, especially the party being so early, was like it rained repeatedly. But that doesn't bother me so much. It is the size of the crowd. So like when I moved here in 2007 and I went to my first Halloween party that year, I remember thinking like, wow, this is amazing. You can get on every ride, you can meet all these characters, you can do all these things, and the crowd was like it was half of what they are now. And I think there used to be a limit that they have kind of thrown out the window to essentially let's say the Magic Kingdom's occupancy is 80,000. I think they used to keep the parties to like 40, and now I think they just let it go to capacity. So I think what bothers me about that is that was part of the reason that was like rolled into the price of the ticket, was that you're paying to experience the park with less of the attraction too. But that's either, that's just the way it is. So whatever, it's nothing to get hung up on. Charles,
Yes.
what was your favorite thing?
Was my favorite?
We're staying positive here for a minute.
Okay, and this doesn't go against what you were just saying, because
If you say the crowds,
I totally agree. Not the crowds, but the people. And you have to remember, I know that everybody else is looking at it from a standpoint of this year. How is it? I'm looking at it from a standpoint of this is my first time ever.
Yeah.
So as far as a party and as far as setting the vibe, like the average amount of people watching that you do on a packed day in a Disney park, just walking around is kind of fun. Seeing everybody from different countries and everybody enjoying themselves and smiling and being happy is part of that little magic that we bring to the Disney parks. So seeing the costumes that people came up with walking around, that probably put me more in a Halloween vibe than any other aspect of it. And you have this wide range, so some people just had like themed t-shirts or something, but I saw some I don't know exactly what the parks costume rules are. I didn't really look into them.
If you are going to the party, I do absolutely recommend looking at the guidelines on the website because it is very specific about some stuff.
Yeah, but within those guidelines, that like creativity within confines kind of aspect, I saw some amazing costumes that like couldn't be mistaken directly for a character, but still would be appropriate at a different Halloween party, not just a Mickey's Not So Scary. So being surrounded by that really put me in the Halloween mood.
Yeah.
And you know, on the same lines of people, I always like cast members in events. They, you know, might not have gotten the costumes with that, but the vibe of that when they're working events, I always feels like amped up too, like they're having fun.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest selling points, the amount of people in the crowds was difficult, but like I liked
the attitude of the crowd.
The people. I like the aspect. I like that attitude. It was fun.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. I am one of the people that does like to experience, like, you know, if it's a dress up event, that's why I love Halloween. I love to dress up, you know.
It wouldn't be a Halloween party without costumes.
Right. And so, and I have been I wore the Charmander costume to the one last year or the year before. It was the year before. Last year I was sick. And it, like, you know, I'm all about that. And I love seeing other people like come up with those kind of creative things, but it's like what you said. It does put you in that spirit for sure. So Steve, what do you think? What's your favorite thing this year?
So my favorite thing actually, and I know Craig's going to disagree with me on this, is I loved the Space Mountain. I don't even want to call it an overlay. Basically, they just turned all the lights off. There's no blue tunnel, no stars in the sky. Nothing.
So it's just pitch black?
Just pitch black.
They didn't pay the power bill. That wasn't an overlay.
And it sounds super simple, and I get why people were underwhelmed by it.
The music was different though, right?
The music was different. I didn't care about the music at all. I thought it was really fun because with the small amount of lighting that they do have, you can kind of see where the turns are coming, and I kind of know when some of the turns are coming anyways, just because I've been on it so many times, but it completely took away. Like, if I forgot for half a second that a turn was coming, I totally, like, was missing it, which hasn't happened to me since, like, my college program, you know, 5 or more years ago. So,
it sounds lazy, though.
I get why people are disappointed. I was smiling the entire time.
I mean, they hyped it up. That's the only thing. Like, the problem is they have a Space Mountain overlay that they do in Disneyland that is known, like people know about it. So when you start to say that you're going to do something like an overlay, it does call to mind that even if you haven't experienced it, you've heard of it maybe.
Yeah, but I see the part where Steve's talking about. As an Uber fan, this is where it just doesn't have an appeal for me because, like Steve was saying, with knowing the turns and stuff, I know all the turns. And I'm not trying to sound snobbish with it. I've ridden it so many times. I was that dork who was coming in the mid-'90s and wanted to go home and recreate the rides on Roller Coaster Tycoon. So I memorized how it actually moved so I could best do that. Like, that's the type of person I was back then. So turning off the lights for me, it's not... I still know the movements. I still know the entire motion of it. I don't get that way. For maybe someone who's only ridden Space Mountain once, twice, or never before... I do see where it could be scary as all get out. So it just, for my type of fandom, it doesn't appeal to me. But for the average fan, I think absolutely it's something worth doing. And I will say that the one creepy part of it was just unintentionally. There was some light in the part of the attraction when you're going up the lift hill where you have the
spaceman.
Where the space station is and the people are in the booth and stuff. And it's always eerie being in an attraction that is shut down with all the lights off and you just see it as a shell. So like that, being able to see in there was creepy. I'll give it that. But yeah, for me, I just know
my thing with this sound that I don't, which is sounding a little non-appealing to me because I thought this was going to be like. It took away the theme of the attraction, is what it sounds like. So it took away the fact that you were... I don't like that. Like I think that's why I like the overlays in California. They're still themed to being space travel.
Oh, and when you put a bullet point list of why this attraction or why this overlay is disappointing, and I hadn't gone on it, I would say, oh yeah, that sounds horrible. But actually going on it, I loved it. So I feel like that is still the experience I had, whether or not it checks off a certain... things of whether or not it should be good.
I will just add in, we heard this comment after Corey and I got off the attraction. I had one of the stupid light up necklaces that Disney gave me, and it accidentally went off during the attraction. I couldn't turn it off for like about 30 seconds, and we heard this group as we were coming out saying like, "Oh my gosh, did you see the one car that was all lit up? Like that was awesome." And that made me like think about it, like just a little bit of lights, even just like used sparingly in there, could have amped it up to the next level. Like if it's all in pitch black, if you could have added like a light on the front of each car, so you see all that speeding around in there, like just that could have taken it up to the next level.
Yeah, it actually sounds really, really fun.
Yeah.
Or it being Halloween themed. I think if they had, if they had ghost projections in the actual like main part of the ride, I think it would have ruined it because it would have eliminated the whole pitch black part. But in the blue, what's normally the blue tunnel, I think they could have done some cool, fun things in there that kind of before you get launched out into the main part of the ride.
It sounds like there's no story to it. That's the only thing,
there's no story. It's just Space Mountain with the lights
as
off.
much as I think Ghost Galaxy is ridiculous in Disneyland because I'm like, ghosts in outer space, come on. But I mean, I guess they can be. I don't know ghosts.
People die in outer space, so like ghosts could be in outer space.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts, Charles. So that's all I'm going to say to you about that. But regardless, whatever. Interesting, maybe not interesting. It sounds like a fun ride. It just sounds like they stripped a ride of its story and was
I
like,
think
there
it's
you go.
something that you need to try before you. I think Craig's, not liking it is completely fair because he experienced it. But I think before you bash it, try it first.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Charles, you, what do you think? So, what was your least favorite? Like the worst thing about the Halloween party for you? You have to pick only one thing.
Okay.
Okay, because apparently you hate the Halloween party. So,
Me?
I don't know.
He reads a third of my review and decides I hate it. It actually ends. I loved the Halloween party.
Okay, good.
I thought it was awesome. Once again, nothing is stale for me yet. It's all new. This is going to bother everybody if you haven't read my review yet.
Oh, no, I'm nervous.
My worst was Boo to You.
Yeah, oh, God, no, you didn't. I don't even like parades, and that is one of the only parades that I like. I like Paint the Night, I like Boo to You, and I like the Soundsational parade. That's it.
I love Paint the Night. I saw Paint the Night with you for the
Yes,
first
you did,
time,
yeah.
and I absolutely love that. Boo to You was completely underwhelming to me, and
Boo to You.
see, man, like you can't even get it stuck in my head because I woke up with it in my head this morning, and that is not a joke. I have thought of that song every single day
Happy Halloween.
At some point during the day. I've thought of that song. That song is reprehensible. I say a lot of things about it, but.
You didn't like the Gravediggers with the shovels spinning around?
Here's the thing. Like, it's not completely awful as far as there are savable elements. I like the Gravediggers. But it leads in with the Headless Horseman, and it's such a cool lead-in.
It is,
and
yeah.
like everybody, the streets are dark, everybody's waiting, and you hear him before he actually arrives, and there's such this anticipation built up. And the Horseman was what I was most looking forward to at this parade, or at the party. And so my anticipation was all built up, and I'm looking forward to it. And he like jets by, and he's cool. It was great. I really enjoy it. But that set the bar higher for what I was expecting. And the parade, honestly, I find lackluster. The Gravediggers are cool. The song is abhorrent. It's just a terrible song that gets stuck in your head. If you like it, that's fine. We're not at war or anything like that. But I mean, like I know some people take this stuff really seriously, but I mean, it's just atrocious. But what really bothered me was the floats and the characters. I didn't find that unique. I didn't find that inventive. You talk about Paint the Night, and Paint the Night is one of the coolest, most unique parades that they have. That's
You didn't
why
like
I
all the
it.
Lost Boys out in the Peter Pan float doing their thing?
Yeah, doing their thing. Like here's the thing:
right?
you've already got Hocus Pocus and Nightmare Before Christmas characters around there. With these parades, with Boo to You, it seems very similar. Like they've got the Headless Horseman, which is super unique. The Gravediggers are kind of unique. And the rest of it, I didn't find it unique, and I didn't find it impressive. And seeing characters go down a street is not novel to me. It's not fancy. It's not fun. It's not like I didn't find any of the floats incredibly imaginative. I like the inclusion of the villains, but the villains float. Theirs, they're the guys who are playing guitar before them, but the villains float themselves aren't particularly.
The Bone Band,
I will say I half agree with Charles on this. Sorry for just jumping in on it. this parade, I still think I have such fond feelings because I think back to when this parade was in its glory, when before the gravediggers, you had the actual gravedigger, the guy with
he
his
had the
dog,
dog, yeah.
and
Yeah.
he had his dog sniffing around. And back when this parade was at its best, when it felt like when you got to the fall section and you had like all the people dressed up in their cowboy gear, like now they kind of, it's not lackluster dancing. They still get into it. They used to have lassos and like they used to really get into it. And it's felt like it's gotten lazy. And I hate the band. It's good to be bad. It's good to be bad. Like I hate them. They are the worst part of the parade. It dates this thing. And I can't remember when this parade started, but it's as soon as you see that,
it's
it's
been
like
going on for like
this,
at least
this
10 or 11
parade
years
is this section. This was still a holdover from 1995. Like it's awfully dated at the end there.
I hate the harvest scene. I feel like
harvest scene.
like the autumn chicken guy and like
Clarabelle.
Oh yeah. The Clarabelle part.
I feel like because it's mostly like it's themed as like spooky Halloween. So you got skeletons and gravediggers and like pretty consistent. The villains consistently spooky themed, and then there's like I feel like that's just like a random piece.
I will
of a
say
different
that
parade that's almost
what you're
there.
saying maybe about the parade. This is what I'm getting from it too, and I do agree with you about this. Is that I have always felt, as much as it's one of the few parades I like, and listening to what you guys have said is maybe I like it because of what Craig's talking about. Like I remember that memory of it, like the fondness of like the first time of seeing it, and like
And
it
it's
still
my
has
intent
those
to ruin
highlights
that
of the
memory
thing.
for you.
Well, yeah, as you often do, yeah. And so my thing is, it's not consistently Halloween. And the Christmas parade, it's Christmas. It's all Christmas. Every character in that parade is celebrating Christmas. In this Halloween parade, it's not all Halloween. It's just that one section that's Halloween. I know what you're talking about. And then I went to the Disneyland party for the first time 2 years ago in 2016, I think. And their parade was all Nightmare Before Christmas themed all the way through, I think, or at least that's what I'm remembering. But and so I was like, wow, this parade is like has a theme that it's stuck to, you know. And I do feel like ours. I haven't seen this brand new one, so you know I can't speak for it. But it does feel a little like the lure, like you said, is like here are these characters that you never see, you know. But I'm like, but I want Halloween,
And it felt lazy. And once again, there's a wait of like 14 years to see Jack Skellington. I would have loved to, but I'm not spending the entire Halloween waiting to see him. The inclusion of him in a float, the inclusion of the the Sanderson sisters.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Like those are big draws to, okay, I can only see them at Mickey's Not So Scary.
Yeah.
I don't have other meets. Throw some floats in, man. Just like don't phone it in. And that's what it felt like. It felt like other than the Horsemen and the Gravediggers, everything else just felt really lackluster.
I think you're onto
really
an
phoned
idea
in.
here, though. I think that when and if they change the show at the castle and the Sanderson sisters are no longer the host, it would be kind of cool to see them host the parade, maybe, or be like, you know, be a part of the parade or something in that way, and then that could be like a Halloween theme. And I have always been surprised that Jack and Sally are not part of the parade too. But
There's enough Halloween related stuff with Disney that it could be Halloween.
Yeah, it should be.
well, where's
It's-
Ichabod Crane? Yeah, stuff like that. You know, other characters that aren't used. You know,
That's preach. Preach.
where's the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion? No representation there. Well, Craig, what about you?
Gunpowder Pete.
So, can you explain to everybody what that is?
I feel like it would waste my time doing it. I will anyway. So we've been talking about it, leading up to it, to the party that is talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, adding in additional live actors to make a brand new story involving Gunpowder Pete. And so the story is that you have Gunpowder Pete, and he's obviously a pirate, and he's somewhere out there, and you're trying to locate him. And so basically what has been added to Pirates of the Caribbean is in the queue right away at the start. You have one pirate who's like stuck behind the bars.
An actor,
talking
yeah.
to you. Yeah, just talking. That's it. Then once you go to get onto your boat, as long as you're on the side closest to the regular queue, so you know how the one side you get
like
on,
go
you
up
have to
and
go
over?
up and
Yeah.
over. If you go on that side, yeah, you have to look at the second actor from afar. I mean, they're projecting the audio in there, but he's still on the other side of the water. He's a good, he's a good 25, 30 yards away from you.
Yeah.
Give or take. I'm sure I'm overblowing that.
A little.
But it feels far away. When you're walking right beside him, going down the 1Q side, and he's right there, a foot in front of you, it's like, okay, I'm getting the story. I'm seeing the little poster he's holding that says, like, wanted Gunpowder Pete. I'm right up in it. From the other side, then when I experience the attraction, you're not really paying attention to it. You hear it going, but because he's all the way on the other side, no one was like paying attention to the storyline at all. So right there, you're missing the story of it if you're not on the proper side of the queue. And then finally you go through the attraction and you're waiting. And finally Gunpowder Pete is on the bridge right where the drunkard is doing it. Kitty. He's on the bridge that you didn't realize there was ever room for a person up there.
No, I didn't. I
Which
never
is
would've
cool
thought.
that they
Yeah.
put him up there. The issue is that I dealt with is he's like talking to the boats that go past, but if he latches on to someone who's talking back to him, he spends all of his time on that one boat. So like the first time I went on it,
Wait, so like people in the boat are talking to him?
yeah, it's a person.
He's
It's just like any
interactive.
other character. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk to strangers.
Well, no, that's fine. You don't have to. Like the boat that was in front of mine was enjoying like going back and forth. We're gonna get you. We're gonna find you. Well, that's great and all, except we saw him talking to that boat, and then as they went under the bridge, he turned around, started talking to them too. So that way, by the time we
Oh,
got
he
up
didn't
to the
say
point,
anything to you,
he didn't
yeah.
say anything to us, and we passed under, and he was still on our side. Like, so you had to turn around, look back, and he's like, ah.
Get out of here.
And it's like, okay, that's all we got was that one small interaction. Like it's all this, and yeah, we saw him interact with the other boat, but the whole thing is like it's supposed to be a part of the story. Every boat that goes through is a part of the story. So when you start butchering it like that, you're screwing up the entire interesting aspect
Yeah.
of it. And at the end of the day, too, it's really we're talking. There was 3 extra additions in there. One that you only see for a couple seconds as you're going through the queue. The second one that you only see as you're passing them by to
If
get
you're
on
on
your
the right
boat,
side.
If you're on the right side, and then you see Gunpowder Pete for its very short time.
So he's only on the bridge. That's it, right? He's
Yep.
nowhere else in the attraction.
Nope.
He's not in the cage with the dog.
Nope,
He's in
just
all
on
of
the
our
bridge.
hearts and minds.
I thought I saw a picture of somebody in the cage with the dog or something like that.
And,
That's why I was confused.
I'll also say this was my worst part of the party too. The attractions as a whole was like the number one thing I was looking forward to going into the party. And then Gunpowder Pete was just incredibly disappointing, not only for the reasons that Craig mentioned, but I also just felt like having him located on the bridge like that. Like Craig was saying, like you only get to interact with him for so long. If he had been someplace that you didn't go underneath him and maybe like on an open platform, he could have like walked a little bit alongside
That's
your
what I was
boat,
thinking was going to happen.
and
but-
be yelling at you while you're going, and then he could have traced his way back to the next boat and kind of done the same thing so that he can give more time with each boat. But
Maybe they just don't want someone walking around in the
I guess maybe it's
attraction
for
like that.
safety or something, but I just felt like doing it the way they did it just felt incredibly lazy, and I felt like everyone in my boat was like, so that was it? That was all that happened?
That's disappointing to hear. But at least the Mad Hatter, the tea party paid off though.
Yeah, I will add one more thing too. I don't know if Craig feels this way, but I felt like with the level of acting that this guy had, it felt like it was just like some person broke free and was just like
Somebody
improving.
jumped out of the boat and was like, "I'll take it from here." Thank you.
I don't want to criticize. I'm sure that they would like to do their representation of a pirate, but they have to do what they're being told.
That's true.
So I don't ever want to criticize someone who's specifically playing a role.
Unless
that
it's
they didn't get
Beetlejuice's
to.
Graveyard Review.
Yes, in that case, it's calm down. Stop singing like you're never going to sing another song before. Every note doesn't have to be belted.
I guess that's true. I suppose he's probably stuck to some sort of a script and has certain things that
And
he
an
can
expectation
cannot
of
say.
pirate too for what.
Yeah,
what
that's true.
has
All
he
right, so I'll
represented in a G.
I'll rescind that criticism, but
Well, we're running a little long here. I just want a general consensus here. I do have one more question about this party. I saw that you guys on Twitter and stuff or on Instagram, the snacks that you tried nobody said these were the best. Nobody said these were the worst. Were these like middle of the road? Were they whatever?
disappointing.
Yeah. The main one that I remember was the Push Pop. Mm-hmm. And
Skellington.
Yeah, Jack Skellington Push Pop. And it looked so awesome. And then just the texture and consistency was all awful and wrong. And it's...
Nobody got the candy corn milkshake?
I have
I
not
did not.
tried it yet, but that is one thing I'm looking forward to going back to try.
Yeah, it is available starting, I think that
It's
one's
already
already
yeah.
available daily. The nice part is a lot of the treats that they're doing this year for Halloween they're already available daily, or starting October 1st, they're going to be available daily.
I saw that,
There's
yeah.
only a couple of the exclusives, like Charles mentioned, the Jack Skellington Push Pop, the awful Doom Buggy cream puff that I really wanted, and then when I saw one in person, like, in no way am I waiting in line to get this just awfully put together dessert that was like this big, and it looked massive in a picture.
Yeah.
And then if you saw my tweet about it, the Oogie Boogie dessert was just as terrible, if not worse.
What was the
in
Oogie Boogie
person.
dessert? Was it like worms and dirt and whatever that thing
It
is,
was like-
with the pudding and the...
I didn't have it, but it was like a mousse style Oogie Boogie on top of it.
Jell-O?
Jello that kind of... He essentially looked like he was melting in the sun, like he was a mixture of Jabba the Hutt and Pizza the Hutt. It was just... It looked like when even the concept photos that Disney took, the ones that are like, these are the best you'll ever see of it, when even those looked bad,
I
you
thought those looked
knew it
questionable.
wasn't going to be good in presentation. And it wasn't.
I imagine, like, in the concept room, like, they're making all these desserts, and then they have, like, Hank in the corner, like, Hank, what'd you come up with? And he's like, got this. And they're like, all right. That looks great. Like,
Kids love Jell-O.
like, who in the approval process was like, this is going to be perfect?
Well, I almost wish next time we're doing this in reverse so we can end on positive notes and not negative notes, because now I'm like, wah, wah, the party doesn't sound, but you said you loved it.
Yeah,
I
I have very, very positive feelings from that party.
We know how you feel about it, Craig. It's losing its draw for you, for
It's
sure.
not just for me. I would say I wouldn't, at this point, I would not recommend the Halloween party until they make some changes. If you've never done it before and it's really something that you want to do, go for it. But
Yeah.
I think it's at the point where the parade is, I kind of would almost rather watch Festival of Fantasy. With the fireworks, I'd rather watch Happily Ever After. And
It needs a refresh.
I don't care for either of the stage shows. So at the point, it's like, well, if you're adding all those components in together, just get a day ticket to Magic Kingdom and just do it on a normal day rather than do it at the party. Unless you live in a place where you can't trick or treat and that's your only way to do it, and in that style, go for it. But Halloween party, I'm done with it. Christmas party, I'm all about it.
Okay, all right, Steve, what do you think? You still?
I'm in the same boat as Craig. I think we kind of have general consensus on what the Halloween party is now, and I just think it's, not worth the money. It's as expensive as it is. It's just, I don't know. There are things that I enjoyed. Like I will say again, I liked Space Mountain, and like Charles was saying, it's fun to see people in costumes. But overall, I would rather spend my money elsewhere on Disney property.
All right. Well, there you have it. That'll do it for this episode. I want to hear from you guys. Do you still love the Halloween party? What were your best and worst things that you experienced if you went this year? Leave them in the comment section on YouTube. If you are, and make sure to like, subscribe, all of that stuff. If you're listening on iTunes, be sure to rate and review us and all that stuff. And, we're open to suggestions for future episodes of the show as well, that you can tweet at us at the Diz on Twitter, or leave them in the comment section of YouTube, or send an email to the podcast at dizunplug.com. But for now, that'll do it. I want to say happy Halloween, but it's August. So I am going to just say, until next time, we'll see you later.